and the results when they finally come out of who actually has won where and when is definitely going to contribute to Uganda's economy, Uganda's infrastructure, Uganda's health and other sectors of this country in the next 5 years. Good morning, Uganda, and my name is Priscilla Naloga.
Well, of course, in addition to what my sister and my brother Robert just did say, it is important that we also take notice that it's a constitutional mandate which we are fulfilling by getting a new presidency every after 5 years, Priscilla, but also taking note that amid these challenges as COVID-19, as you did say, we have been able to stand tall in adhering to what we believe in that forms Uganda and by far a national governance. We did take on 2 polls yesterday. Many of our colleagues out there in the world have voted. Some of our colleagues didn't vote, and I know many of the same. But I know for sure that we will be able to get a leader that will transform this country to the dreams and visions that we desire as countrymen. My name is Uganda Felix, and this is Good Morning Uganda. And this is a election hub, isn't it? Election
hub, here to give you 24 hours coverage. And you have seen it from yesterday, 6 a.m. We've been giving you coverage. Updates from every region that we've had our reporters reporting from. And we're definitely also going to be continuing today, 24 hours until tomorrow. So stick to UBC TV. This is the election hub. Now, speaking of the election hub, we did have Justice Simon Byabakama coming through and giving us a communication as the EC overall in charge of the election process 2021.
Justice Byabakama before the election in that press conference emphasized on a couple of issues that we believe Ugandans understood very well. This was evident because of yesterday's election, where most of the parts of this country it was peaceful voting, people turned out. These included observing the standard operating procedures that he urged Ugandans to ensure they stick to them at a polling station. Also ensuring that people exactly were there at the opening, and also many were not allowed to stay around. But actually, this is something they did not adhere to. Felix, Priscilla, and I are going to be taking you through some of these, some of the issues that he raised during this press conference. Justice Simon Byabakama, the leader or the head of the Electoral Commission. Priscilla.
Yes.
Key was, first and foremost, the justice emphasized that people should maintain peace at polling station. By and large, was this achieved?
Well, I believe by and large, from what we've been receiving from the field with our UBC reporters, there's been peace and security that was maintained in majority of the area codes where polling stations and voters were casting their vote. In Kampala, majority, most of areas were peaceful, except for a little bit of a hiccup in 1 or 2 places. But then when we look at the general picture all over the country, we can say that by and large, this might have just been the most peaceful election that Uganda has experienced since 1996.
But of course, also, Priscilla, to add something quite important we did note from the speech of the EC chairperson, that is Honorable Justice Byabakama. He did cause emphasis in thanking Ugandans who turned out. It is anticipated that this particular election will cause the highest number of turnout since time immemorial, and we must appreciate Ugandans who took a courageous stand to go and vote. Now, remember, we had a lot of challenges even prior to the election, and he did acknowledge this, that even there with anticipations of fear, anticipations of violence, anticipations, and in the presence of the coronavirus, people went and voted. And that is a big deal. Justice Byabakama did emphasize the same. He also noted that he will be the only official institution that he chairs, the Electoral Commission, that will give the official announcement of any person, be it member of parliament, be it the president for that matter. So it is something we must take keen notice. And whatever we'll be giving you even today is simply provisional and not accredited to that far.
You've mentioned something very crucial, and voter turn-up. Many people in their polling stations have actually witnessed to the fact that so many people this time around turned out, and most especially the young people of Uganda turning out to vote and even peacefully participating in the whole voting procedure. Now, it brings me to remembrance when we look at 2016 and the elections before, where you've had, for example, in 2016 you had 15+ million voters, and then -3+ million did not turn up to vote. We had had the year before that had 10 million voters. We had minus over 3 also not turning up to vote. Now, given what we are seeing voter turning up, the margins between those that have not turned up may be narrower in 2021.
Yeah, the projection could have been that, but when we have had this conversation with Robert even before that, you see, with coming in onto the platform new players, you've had one person dominate the opposition probably for the last 20 years. But now this time around you have some new kids on the block, and that alone, remember, has carried a whelming number of the youth, and definitely that informs how much people are interested. But also remember, the population, Robert, just before you come in, the population has also increased. We're looking at a stretch from about 37 to 45 million. So the ratio simply moves with the strides.
Yes,
well,
over 40%, Robert, of those voters were youth. So I commend the youth for actually choosing to participate in the decision.
It's a good start.
Very, very good start.
It's a good start.
And it also shows that the next leadership should be considerate that whatever program, whatever initiatives that they're going to be coming up, they should include this 40% in the decision-making consideration. And then we also have the margins whereby we had more women voting than men. The percentages, women were 50 plus.
Women are always women are always more in everything when it comes to performance. If you go to churches, Robert, who's a associate pastor, normally you can tell us your congregation must be filled up with women by far. When you go to hospitals, you go to markets, women are always, when it comes to association.
Well, just to put it right, Felix, when you look at Uganda's population, you'll find the majority of our population still are women. And so that may not surprise you. You're just taking me days back when we used to cover children born on Christmas Day. And actually, you'd look at all hospitals year in, year out, and the girl child would dominate the numbers. So Uganda's population, majority are women. But very interesting about this election, like Priscilla and Felix have rightly put it, is the youth participation. Presidential level, we had the youth participation, and also parliamentary level, the youth participation. So this, in one way or the other, really was some issue that we have to talk about in this election, unique in a manner that previously the youth were not participating that much when it comes to voting. All we pray is that these were valid votes, because that is also one of the challenges. Priscilla and Felix still on the high turn-up. This also played out at when voting actually closed at most of the polling stations. The Electoral Commission was very clear that voting ends at 4, but if you are on the line, you were able to cast your vote at whatever time the line could really lead to the last person in the queue. And this is an interesting part, that in some areas, voting went up to about 7 p.m. because people were still in the line and they turned up in huge numbers. That is one of the things that I find very interesting.
I think it's okay, and it's a good thing, because at the end of the day, that day, that was the 14th of January, was actually condoned off and gazetted to be a public holiday. We didn't expect people to be rushing work, and even today is a public holiday, and we expect people to be out there just following what's happening. And of course, we know as a matter of fact that you're glued to your TV, a national broadcaster, that is UBC, where we're going to be giving you all the updates. And as they trickle in, we're going to give you updates about your members of parliament, but majorly also the head of state. But also to emphasize that this is provisional. This is provisional in our capacity as national broadcaster. We'll be giving you provisional results, and the mentioning of the trueness of all that we shall be giving you is cast into the hands of the Electoral Commission, which is doing the tallying at Chambogo.
My 2 cents on that, I do commend the EC for actually being very, very considerate this time round. Of course, we have to consider that matters they had stipulated that the voting time would be 7 to 4. It was very interesting to see that they had the leniency to be able to allow voters to go all the way to 7 p.m. in consideration of, one, the hiccups and the hindrances that could have caused delays in some polling station. They had to make allowance for that to make good on that particular, some of those particular issues like the biometrics, sanitization, and all these other nitty-gritties. But also the fact that we had one of the SOPs being had to enforce in such a period of time. Social distancing and voting was definitely hard. So we commend the Electoral Commission for actually being lenient in this election process.
But you did talk about hiccups. I'm also informed that there are places where elections were cancelled for parliamentary members. Because they did get ballot papers that had issues with
same symbols yet on different candidates.
Well, these places so far that we've been able to come up with, and we have information that we can really rely on, that vote was cancelled. We had, that is in Chenjojo, we had Kacherere, where that is Kachere polling station in or Kachere polling station in Ntungamo, where voting at that particular polling station did not happen because electoral material was stolen along the way. This electoral commission said they're investigating in conjunction with police to ensure what exactly went wrong. So those people, maybe they could be voting today, but along the way,
again, in English, Simba wakati, but planters stick for English users. How does that happen when these vehicles have security, very, very tight security on them while they're heading to the polling, from the Electoral Commission to the polling station?
And the question is also, what would be the motive of the thief?
Right? Anyway, how much can the motive of the thief impact on the results of the day and for the next 5 years? Uganda is very interesting.
One interesting here is that this is just one polling station in Tungamo district, Cherere. It is just one polling station out of the so many polling stations there. But of course, it could have an impact on a candidate.
Every vote matters.
Every vote matters so much there. But the good thing is,
even invalid votes do have an impact on a candidate. So we cannot rely on just what was stolen. Invalid votes do have an impact. People who didn't vote do have an impact on every candidate.
Also, now that you're talking about invalid votes, you do notice that we've been having a consistent increase in the number of invalid votes over the years and over the elections. You do note that people have consistently voted. What would be the motive? Why would you go to electoral and then you tick Chirabo, then you cross out Priscilla? Is it symbolic in terms of the voter education or what, Robert?
These are two things. Yes, voter education was lacking in some areas. That is a fact that we must accept. But also, there are some people that come to vote without making up their minds very well. And also, this should witness. Sometimes Ugandans are a bit fishy because, Felix, I didn't expect that yesterday we had people that could line up and end up not knowing the right polling station. I voted at Mubaraka, that is 40A to M. But I want to tell you, after some people in the queue, they would come and their names were not in the register, then they're told they may be in Chizungu or somewhere else, which I found a bit. You would think that by voting day, maybe every Ugandan that was registered among the 18 million knew where to vote from. But let's take a look at where the 11 presidential candidates each voted from and how was the situation there. some of the presidential candidates where they voted. All the 11, we've been able to bring them to you where they voted from, and it is evident that they did cast their votes. Voting was yesterday, counting commenced. Who of the 11 will make it to State House, and who of the many parliamentary seats that are there, who will be in the 11th Parliament, where there are 527 seats? Who will be among the members in that 11th Parliament? The Election Hub is here to update you and give you credit information you can trust on as it flows in from the National Tally Center and all other areas where the Electoral Commission will be giving you the final results to declare who has won at various levels. Very interesting. This is the day where many people are eager to know. It is all about who takes what and who got which percentage. But that is what we are going to do. And remember, we are broadcasting in 3 languages: Luganda, English, and Kiswahili. We are here and we'll ensure that you're well versed with what is happening. Priscilla, briefly take us through some of the provisional results that are coming in the Election Hub.
It is the Election Hub, and we're here to give you some partial results that have come through from the Electoral Commission in consideration of 1,051 polling stations so far that have been done and dusted as far as counting votes is concerned. Now we start with the incumbent president, who's Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Habura, and so far he's standing at 61.3% from the 1,051 polling stations that have so far been counted. Then you do have General Muntu Mugisha, who is also having 0.71%. Very interesting. You'd think that the generals should be following each other somewhere, somehow. They're not following each other. They're not following each other. Okay, we get to look at a new presidential candidate, who is Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu. So far, he is at 27.9% as far as the 1,051 polling stations are concerned. We get to look at other candidates, partial results coming through from the Electoral Commission there. We do have Fred Mwesije, who has so far collected 0.34%. Then you also get to have Norbert Mao, the man who has a clean manifesto, but too good to be true, I suppose, having collected so far 1.03% of the voters' voice. Then you also do have another candidate in there that has collected 5.65%.
And that's Amorius.
Barefoot man. Soldier. Suddenly he has to become a soldier. Well, the only lady in the rest so far is actually also having a 0.65% in the 1,051 polling stations. Then we also get to look at Henry Tumukunde, who is so far at 0.63%. That is not good enough. He needs to work it out. Then we have Katumba John, the man who's been, did a concert recently. He's releasing music. We don't know what this man is. Towards the end of it, we're not knowing which direction he's going. Should he become president? But I don't know if that's going to be possible with a 0.41%.
It's too early to tell, Priscilla.
It's too early to tell. Okay, anyway, we do have over 34,000 polling stations to go, so you do have a point. It is too early to tell. And then we do have finally some of the other candidates. We do have the
that is
Kabuleta, the pastor, having performed better than the generals. It is very interesting. 1.14%. I know the realities of these votings are coming out to be true. And William Mayambala having a 0.24%. So far, those are the partial percentages in terms of how the presidential candidates are actually performing in 1,051 polling stations.
But I would want to ask you and Robert, have you ever seen Katumba's poster? And Mayambala?
No, Katumba, you remember when he was starting his campaign trail, he said that he's going to use social media to distribute his posters. Oh. Yeah, I remember that very well.
Would those still be posters?
Yeah, they're posters, electronic posters.
Or did you get his poster?
We saw it on his social media, on his Twitter account. You can find them actually.
Mayambala and Fred Moise?
We there, Mayambala, no posters, fuel was always a problem, among other things. You would see him in campaign trails and all he's doing is kubonga, really.
He has been able to earn himself at 0.20 something.
24.
If you have to get my opinion on that, Felix, this election has been very interesting, most of the campaigns. You had Mayambala, for him it was very clear. He said he's not going to have posters, but he's going to take selfies with people. That is why wherever he was, he would ensure that he takes a selfie, I also have one with Mayambala. So I have one in my phone.
Show us what you have.
Yes, I'll show you.
Please, we need to see
when he
this
came and visited, he toured
in case he becomes president, you become a celebrity, a friend to the president.
Unfortunately, Priscilla, we have 11 candidates in the race. As results are coming in by the Electoral Commission, this is a bit tricky because for you to be a president, you don't just have to have the majority votes, but you must have the 50 plus 1% of the total votes cast. So when we look at results, it's the Electoral Commission to give us the final results and declare who the winner is. But that's also another issue. Will he be able to raise the 50 plus 1% among the 11 candidates and then make it to State House? But the good thing is the votes were cast and now the counting is coming in under the election hub. It is a mandate to ensure that we give you 24/7 coverage of the elections and the counting in till Saturday, come Saturday by 4 p.m. Ugandans will have known, because that is when the 48 hours will be expiring, which is mandated for the chairman of the Electoral Commission to have announced the winner of these elections. But for parliamentary, yes, there are some results that have come in. Some are already jubilating and others, what's the opposite? Some are celebrating, jubilating.
Tribulating.
Would you say crying?
Tribulation. Jubilation, tribulation. Yeah.
Some are now asking their agents what went wrong. Some are asking.
But agents are agents, and why would you put them on the spot?
Great.
Well, they did the campaigning bit of it.
No, but I can tell you, we've also, if you just want to touch base with the MPs, you've seen a lot of fairly, mostly if you want to base on the Uganda region, for some of where we've been able to hear a couple of, you've seen that the NUP candidates are doing so well in the central region. As a matter of fact, when you go to Masaka,
they've been very vocal.
This place where the former Minister of Trade, the Minister of Trade actually, Maokota, there's a bit of, they're doing a bit well, but when you get out of this place, out of Kampala, you see a lot of NRM taking center stall in numbers of MP. But if you want to focus back on the presidency, I can tell you as a matter of fact that we still have so many tallying polling stations that we await on top of the 1,051 that we have used to give these partial results. So we expect more and more will be coming in, and we'll be going to be hearing from some of our reporters who are in different places. I understand the Karamoja region in Moroto will be telling us also how it is over there.
Karamoja, we do have a reporter that we'll be talking to from Bundibujo, and then also we do have the reporters on Bess in Chambogo that are going to be giving us updates and tally center as they come through. It is the election hub. You're watching UBC, and this is Good Morning Uganda. Thank you so much for waking up and joining us. Now we get to take a break. Later on we'll be coming back with more updates and live coverage from the election hub.
Fellow Ugandans, the D-Day has come, 14th, to cast our ballots, and it is our right, it is your right to do so. And if you don't do so, then I don't think it is really right, because we have to exercise our rights and we go and vote. It is very true. It was agreed by all the Ugandans that we are going to cast our ballot on the 14th. I'd like to thank everyone who has tried, and we thank our candidates, all of them, for all we know in this troubled time of COVID. It has been really terrible. We can also see However, I would like to join, to add my voice also of those who are saying, let these elections be in the hands of God. In everything we do, in every situation, we must include God. We can't get so much excited that we don't even be like the children of God. In these elections, let God be our guide. And if we talk about God, He talks about peace, who brings peace in the entire world. I'd like to thank so much for those of you who have come out now to be the leaders and serve others. We wish you great victory, and for all of us, it is our duty now to support whom we support. And we shall see. It's like a football game. I support Man U, another supports Arsenal. Sometimes you find this excitement, this whatever, but after the game, we go again and, hug one another. We take a bottle and then we go. So I think let us pray for peace. All of us, young people, children, everybody's time now to pray, not to begin thinking, I'm going to fight, I'm going to burn a house, I'm going to cut somebody's bananas, as I've heard before, that before people would go and cut even people's bananas and cows, and I don't think we can go that way. Let us take our integrity and we pray that we vote in peace, with integrity, with great love, and let God be the one to direct and arrange everything. He knows better than even we do. He can change water into wine. He will change everything. He's God.
Good morning, Uganda. Today is a great day to make someone's day. A wonderful day to rewrite the future. Today is a beautiful day to light up their world. A marvelous day to make a brand new start. The perfect day to make the world smaller. Today isn't just another day. Today is your day. Airtel Money, with you always. Airtel Money, quick, secure, borderless.
Buyogera nyaffe Uganda ku Radio Africa. Tolemwa kumwenya. Oluwaka mwenyu akajjudde abanywanyi. Embeera y'obudde yatukolako mukwano. N'obutonde obutubeezaawo. Ne butusobozesa buli omu okubeerawo mu ngeri ye. Kuba ffenna tuli banjawulo ne mu ngeri gye tukwasaganyamu emirimu gyaffe. Naye ekitugatta ne tufuuka omuntu omu. Bwe buwoomyo buva mu kyokunywa. Ekyaleeruya Uganda drink, n'aleeruya Tallying drink, eddekende erikumala ennyonta, ate nga wejjanjaba omubiri gwo. Ekyokunywa kino kye kitegeera emibiri gyaffe, kuba kya butonde 100 ku 100. Woomerwa ekyokunywa kirimu omubisi gw'enkooge. Aleluya Tallying drink n'aleluya Uganda drink bikolebwa ba Aleluya Reflexology Healthy Solution and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Weefunira ekyokunywa kya Aleluya leero okuva ku maduuka wonna. Bakubire ku noti 393 24 15 66.
It is the election hub, and thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV. Let's maintain order as results are coming in. 4 members of parliament, district tallying officers in some areas have finished declaring winners. But we urge you, please remain peaceful. The police was very clear there will be no procession. So in case your candidate has won, don't hit the streets, don't make processions to their home. Otherwise, you will be greeted by law enforcers, because this is one of the things they refused. But it is the election hub, and we are giving you full-time coverage from various parts of the country. We're now getting to Aruna Mutesasira from Kazo. Good morning, Aruna.
Good morning, Sebo.
How is Kazo?
Kazo, right now we still have a very beautiful cold morning.
Okay.
Remember, we slept here. We entered this study center yesterday at around 7 p.m. And up to now, we are still here waiting for the final results for the president and MPs who are contesting for the two constituencies in this district.
Did you said you're still waiting for results. So far, what do you have?
What I have now, these are provisional results from some polling stations, because Kazo district has 10 sub-counties, and they have been giving us each polling station per sub-counties. Remember, we had some issues with the network, and then the transporting of materials from the villages then to the district headquarters. So most of the results came a little bit late, and they were taking their time. People who are here managing the elections, they were taking their time, tallying the results, and then reading one by one polling station for each sub-county. But for now, they have already entered all the data for the 10 sub-counties.
Okay.
But they have already entered the data for the 10 sub-counties in their system.
Okay.
But they have not allowed us to give us the final results until when they send the data to National Tallying Center in Kampala. That's when they will give us the final.
Haruna, what is the environment like? Do we have some of the candidates there, the agents? What is the security like at the Tally Center?
For today, there's a little bit difference from the other side. From the other time when we had the Indian primaries here, where we had the Kavuyo from morning up to the evening. Now this time around, it has been, the situation has been at least a little bit cool, because the contestants, especially for the MPs, they are not here, apart from their agents who sit here waiting for the results. And then apart from the two incidents which happened yesterday, one was in Mkungu, where one of the polling assistant or the presiding officer of one of the sub-county in Mkungu tried to make his own health center, and he was arrested by police, and he has been brought here today in the morning to tell the presiding officer of the district what transpired in his district in his sub-county in Mkungu. By the rest, we've had at least a calm situation.
Very interesting Tally centers. But also, briefly take us through who are the contestants for parliamentary in this particular area.
Okay, we have 5 female who are contesting for Kazo Women MP, and that is Honorable Modeka Mukama. We have Jennifer Muhes, Runa Rulanga Kemirembe, and the Patience Tumwebaze. Then for the direct seat for Kazo constituency, there is Honorable Goroni Bafaki, who is the incumbent, is tussling it out with the flag bearer, Dan Mushoshi, who is now, by the result we have right now, is still leading the incumbent. But when you look at some of the results which I have from some sub-counties per police stations, now for example from Mijina sub-county, I have results from Akagando for women member of parliament representative. Mole Kamukama got 24 votes. Jennifer Muhois got 91. Runa Rulanga Kemirembe 20, and then Patience got 0. And then at the Academy polling station, that is still in Mijina sub-county, Mole got 137. Jennifer Muhois got 192. Runa Rulanga got 119. And then Akatongole, Mole Kamukama got 30, Jennifer Muhois got 79, and then Lulanga Kemirembe got 28. Then Patience got 0. Then Mijina Primary School, More got 160, Muhes 142, Luna Kemirembe 122, and then Patience Tumebaze got 0. When we come to those who are contesting for the seat of for the president from Mijina sub-county, I have results from provisional results from 6 polling stations. From Kagando, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 214.
Okay.
The rest got 0. Then Kagando 2, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 181. The rest got 0. Chikoni 1, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 451. The rest got 0. Then Chikoni 2, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 182. The rest got 0. Then Akatongole, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 481. The rest got 0. Then Mijina Primary School, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 788. The rest got 0. And Akashambia, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 369. The rest got 0. Then when we go for Kazo constituency results.
Yes, I'm with you, Aruna Mutesasira.
From Mijina, Dan got 212.
Okay.
And then Bafaki got 471. Then at Kagando, Dan got 189. And then Bafaki got 118. And then when you go to Kazo Town Council, Dan Kimosho got 262. That's the Rabionyo police station in Kazo Town Council. Then Bafaki got 296. When I say Dan, you remember that's the Dan Kimosho. When I say Bafaki, that's Gordon. Then Kazo Integrated Primary School, Dan Kimosho got 116. And then Bafaki Gordon got 94. Then Owenjere polling station, Dan Kimosho got 116. Bafaki Gordon got 107. Then Yabarunji polling station, still in Kazo Town Council, Dan Kimosho 205. Then Bafaki Gordon 175. Then Ruabionyo 2. Dan Kimosho 262. Bafaki Gordon 126. Then other results which I have right now from Kazo sub-county. Remember, Kazo district has 10 sub-counties. There is Kazo Town Council and Kazo sub-county. So this is Kazo sub-county, Kasei Primary School for the president. The results I have, Yuri Kakuta Museveni 345. The rest 0. Then Chigura, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 113. The rest is 0. Nyamago polling station, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 649. The rest got 0. Then Mukenge Trading Center, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 298. The rest is 0. Then from Ekitemizi polling station, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 275. The rest is 0. At Shibalama Primary School, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 273. The rest is 0. Then from Chigarama polling station, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 500. The rest 0. From Mirama Primary School, Yuri Kakuta Museveni got 140. The rest 0.
Well, Haruna Mutesasira, I'll be getting back to you later on to give us more of those interesting statistics that are coming in from Kazo. Remember, this is one of the districts that was, there was a lot of pressure during the NRM primaries, but now, according to Haruna Mutesasira, he says all is well. Priscilla and Felix, one of the interesting issues I've been speaking to the political commissar Uganda Police, and he said even in Kampala yesterday at Hotel Africana, there are people who were arrested because they had come up with their own tally center. So this is one of the issues that we urge Ugandans to avoid. Tally center, an individual tally center or a group of people setting up a tally center.
Now, number one question would be,
it's quite heinous.
Why would you want to tally your own votes? Even if you tally them, you're going to announce them as who? You're not credited to announce them. You're not Electoral Commission. So I think that's just people being cuckoos, if I should say it.
Well, one could say that, but also it's in relation to discipline, political discipline. We see politicians writing a lot of what they call defiance, for that matter, or being on the alternative or parallel to government policy. But as a matter of fact, as we have always said, that we must also increase our voices in terms of the Electoral Commission is the only certified and constitutional body that shall release the final and credible information about any position that is elective in this country. And the same is being done at Chambogo, where there is the National Tally Center, and I think we'll be also having one of our correspondents telling us what's happening there. Remember, we got some provisional results last, I think, around 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Around that time, they gave us, which is what you're seeing, which is quite provisional about the heads of state and of course some members of parliament, and the same is still coming in as time goes.
Speaking of coming in, we do also have a correspondent coming through from another western region, Ntungamo to be exact.
That's Onyango, Robert Onyango.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello.
It's Priscilla. Good morning to you. You are on Good Morning Uganda.
Oh, good morning to you, Congress here at Provisional. It is indeed a good morning here in Uganda. And I've come to you right from Uganda Resort, which is the teacher center for Uganda district. I remember with the issue and some more announcements that 4 hours.
Robert, can you be a bit audible, please?
Okay, we will get back to Robert Onyango giving us updates from what is taking place in Ntungamo, and this is the Election Hub. Remember, we choose to give you live coverage for next 24 hours, 48 hours, until the Electoral Commission comes out with the full and final results out of Uganda making the choice in the year 2021. So we're still looking at Kazo, reviewing how the situation is in Kazo. So far, the whole point of someone else having their own tally center is interesting to look at.
It is, and quite absurd. And
is it
quite
punishable
absurd.
by law? Just
definitely. You see, as long as anything you do is not legal, it makes it illegal, and everything illegal is punishable
by
Priscilla,
law. Okay.
Priscilla, it is very illegal, and you've heard the people that come up. One of the candidates there, he's in police custody. Also, those in Kampala, I told you earlier, Hassan Kasinje confirmed to me that they had set up one at Africana, and they're all now behind bars. So do not bother, do not attempt. The Electoral Commission is there. It is the only body mandated to give us results. But also looking at the outcomes from Kazo, when you look at some of the results that Haruna Mtesasira was giving us, of course, these are not final results, because the final results will be announced by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. It's come Saturday. It's not very fast. Saturday, by Saturday, 4 p.m., we believe and hope that Ugandans will have known who will be taking the State House. Out of the 11, we will have the majority there. Very interesting results there, the zeros.
Yes, let's talk about those results. What is the reflection of these results in terms of the campaign trail? The 11 candidates had 146 districts to traverse in 60 days. They had a bonus of about 4 days, right? But still, the reflection of the time that they were given in the number of districts, including Kazo, that they had to go to, many of them actually did not manage to go to this particular district. And it was clearly seeing the interpretation of that in people voting, because we have a lot of zeros on 99% of the candidates on the presidential list.
Well, of course, you see, in as much as we're talking about Kazo, there are many other places like that, and I wouldn't want personally to pick excitement in this particular area of Kazo, because in as much as His Excellency is having the lead there, with others having a lot of zeros, you could find that in particular places in Uganda, the reverse will be true, while you'll be hearing a particular candidate against the others in that realm.
Yeah, of course,
but
that's
there's
a
something
given.
quite interesting, and when you look at some of these districts and you quite take interest, the districts that did not have people these aspirants do campaigns there have reflected majorly even in how they have voted. The places that people weren't able, some candidates, for example, you look at the wider part of Wachiso, look at Kampala, look at the cities, the 13, the 13 districts per se, that EC came out to say that you will not have campaigns in districts. I want to take in interest in how, and I'm awaiting to see how what was the performance of all these candidates.
We're eager to see the reflection.
Exactly, it will give us a good research, or it will be a good answer to the question whether to the null or to the affirmative, whether campaigns actually affect the choice of voters. Because these places they didn't go, and now we want to know how did they vote.
That is very interesting, Felix, for us to follow up. Of course, after all is done and dusted, then statistics will be available to us. But I've been looking at some of these provisional results coming in, Felix, and when you look at elections from 2016, 2001, there are some areas that have remained. Of course, every time you go for elections, dynamics change. But some of the areas that have remained strongholds, you still see that to particular candidates on particular political parties, still the game is kind of playing out the same. When you look at a particular area like Kazo, this in point, you'll find that many times you may not be disappointed, maybe surprised of the outcome there, because this is an area that has predominantly been that. So some of these areas, the voting pattern could change. Yes, there are more than new players in the game, but usually most of the voting pattern seems to be, even as we are getting provisional results from the Electoral Commission, you will find that this may not actually be so much different from some of the areas that have been maybe predominant for some candidates on a political party. Still, the likelihood could be happening. But I also highly believe what you talk about, Felix, that the level of campaigning also really could have had an impact in some of these areas as well.
Well, of course, something else, Robert, just away from what you've been saying, but and this explains a lot. I want us to look at the anxiety that has been formed around these elections since we started. If you remember the days from nominations up till a couple of days where they stopped the campaigns, the excitement, is it still the same excitement? Is it what you actually expected amidst these elections, with the pomp and vibe that was given to these elections and all the expectation? I find that there's been a bit of calmness, you know, and that probably should be attributed to the security forces and the Electoral Commission, and by far also the people, the wananchi, the voters. They have stayed calm, which is something we must say and celebrate. Thank you so much, Ugandans, for keeping it calm and all that.
Okay, we go back to Ntungamo from the election hub. We do have Onyango that is coming to us from Ntungamo district. Onyango, good morning. Experiencing a technical issue there. It is the election hub. This is Good Morning Uganda, choosing to give you live coverage of every part that we can get our hands onto and understand the situation there. Onyango, good morning.
Good morning once again,
Could you be more audible, please?
I'm coming to you guys from district that is the so far,
well, unfortunately, we've lost him. I think he has network challenges. That is very clear, but we hope we will be getting him later on. I was very excited, Priscilla, to hear from him the happenings, what really happened at Kacherere polling station, because that is also in Ntungamo as well.
Well, for me, actually it reminds me, the memory I have of Ntungamo, it was the 31st of 2016. I was coming from Kanungu district, choosing to come back to Kampala and have the 31st in Kampala. And then the bus I was on, it had a technical issue. We got stuck in Ntungamo by midnight. Midnight found us in Ntungamo. So clearly, it was a very interesting district. People there are quite hospitable, if I might say. Anyway in Uganda, people are very hospitable, so we're definitely wanting to know what the state of affairs is in the district of Ntungamo. We will be getting another report update coming in from the northern part of Karamoja, which is one of those places that has the least number of voters as far as the regions are concerned. And so we want to see how did their voting go, regardless of the numbers that they have there. Of course, Kampala is the highest with registering most number of voters, and then we also get to look at the fact that we've had more women voting. We've had an improvement in the percentage, 40.8% of young people coming to the voters. But it caused me to think that you know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the people who are old now were more or less young people then. So we can't really say that even in the elections before we didn't have young people voting per se. Maybe population-wise, contributing to the numbers increasing as young people.
Well, of course, when it comes to the voters, Priscilla, you must acknowledge that the games keep changing.
Yeah.
I can tell you that if you've been voting consistently in the last 3 elections, I can tell you that
that's 15 years.
Yes, you could be voting differently.
Oh yes, yes.
The patterns could be definitely different because of the new kids on the block, the new parties, the disorganization, and all this.
15 years ago, maybe you voted simply because out of excitement.
I mean,
15 years later, you're voting out of wisdom.
Then
things that are affecting your family. You're
exactly.
a family man, you're a business person, and,
and that's what informs what Robert was asking much earlier, that we were looking at the increase in the voter turnout. Again, we are having now voters who are more exposed. You and me know that if you're looking at guys who are probably 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, about 25 there, they are very exposed. They will tell you each and everything about Uganda. They'll tell you something that is being done, that is not being done, where it should be done, and who should do it. They'll tell you about the hospitals, they'll talk about the infrastructure. So something probably we should also credit in terms of voter turnout is the aspect of information. That readily today you have a lot of information at the disposal of people, and probably that speaks a lot about infrastructure again, information technology out there for people to use. You're looking at accessibility of information. But most concrete, in this election, it is that unique election where we are seeing that we have had to vote in critical times. The coronavirus. In every question we ask our correspondent, it's also important for us to keep tabs on how the SOPs were abided by, how people performed in keeping these SOPs.
Speaking of SOPs, let's look at your polling station in Rubaga. You did take your vote.
Oh yeah, I did.
And what was the situation there in terms of pandemic and SOPs maintenance?
By the time I voted, there were not very much people, I'll be honest. There are about 20 people on the line.
What
15, 20 people. When I voted. When we left here, I think a couple of...
like about 11 a.m.
Exactly, about 11. There were about 20 people.
Okay.
And definitely there was a chairman, I know. Basically the faces I knew. Your mask was a matter of fact.
The benzene and the soap and water were present?
They weren't matters of facts, but the mask was a matter of fact.
Okay.
You had to be masked. The biometrics, they give you...
So in your polling station, you didn't have challenges with the biometrics?
I didn't encounter that.
Okay, all right.
I didn't encounter that, and actually in major places in Kampala it wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. But in some of the places where it was an issue, the Justice Byabakama did mention that teams were sent in quick to make ratification of some of these challenges. But the beauty of every aspect that took toll yesterday, Priscilla, election was done. Uganda was able to go and vote for its president, and we want to put emphasis on that because that's the sovereignty that reigns over a country as we do enter into a social contract with our leaders.
Well, social contract with our leaders, we currently have a contract with the Electoral Commission, and I've been asking myself a question. These biometric machines, isn't it the mandate of the Electoral Commission to make sure that some of these things are functioning before they are sealed, packaged, and sent to the different places?
These are technical issues. Robert will tell you there's always a hiccup in every system. And I can forgive the Electoral Commission, I'll be honest.
I would put the Electoral Commission on bench,
Talk about the biometric machines. Actually, where I voted, we didn't use them. So that is not something I think earlier on, because I joined the line about 10 minutes to closure. Every time I would pass by the line, the queue was so long, so I decided to be among the last people to vote, because I know that once 4 clocks, what the polling officer has to do is, or a polling constable stands at the last person on the line. So I'm sure that if I'm within that time, there won't be more people joining. So, but reaching there, yes, hand washing, like Felix said, wasn't a priority. What was much of a priority was a mask. Also, the lines, social distancing wasn't an issue there. But by and large, we casted our vote, and in a very peaceful atmosphere. These biometric machines have a challenge. First, if you remember Felix very well, and Priscilla, when we hosted the Secretary of the Electoral Commission, Leonard Mulekwa, first he said there are people, because of the nature of the work they do, that the biometric machine may not be able to read.
All the Vaselines they use.
All the Vaselines they use, that it may not be able to read their thumbprint. So that is also another issue. But also the other challenge was that you would find maybe usually machines are machines used so consistently, even your phone can freeze at some particular level. So those are some of the challenges you would find. I've tried to look at some parts of the world that have had elections, and still the same issue comes out.
Robert,
biometric machines.
Just a quick one. All phones don't freeze.
Yeah, Robert, iPhones
and
in
you know that
particular
more
do not
than me, Robert. You should know that more than me.
But we can take it as machines are machines. But the good thing is that the Electoral Commission had an alternative, which was, as long as you're in the register, you can be identified, then it was simple. You could go and cast your vote, and that is what happened in a polling station like where I was, where
but Robert,
we did not consider them at
these
any one
biometric machines posed a big threat, and I was discussing with remember we had a conversation even with Paul Bukenya here, that how are you going to handle the issue of sanitizing the machine if a Priscilla comes and places their thumb or what, or then after I come, then Robert comes, then brother comes, then how are you going to handle that? For me, in my mind, in my wisdom, I thought it wasn't a good pick for them. Probably should have used facial recognition, like you just look. But anything that has to do with touching, then she touches. Then, because you can't sanitize a machine, probably it's going to get spoiled or something. And for me, no wonder when I reached there, even when it was working, I'll be honest, I didn't opt for it. I had an option, I didn't. So the good thing they used to do also was...
Jagan also mentioned the same thing. When he went to vote in Munyonyo, he had the same experience, and they were insisting that he uses the machine. So he had to educate them by using the law that really this is not mandatory. The law states ABCD, this is what stipulates me to actually cast my vote. And you know, he helped the residing officers there be able to get this information to ease up and quicken up the process.
It was also very risky, and I noticed, I was looking on, but and for me, I feel that that was quite an exposure, and that was something that EC didn't put in contemplation, because you don't share thumb bases with every person. You know? Felix,
you know why I'm laughing? You've just been discussing the biometric machine, but this election also had another interesting bit of it that I really enjoyed. Was people moving with their pens.
You've been laughing before you say what you want.
People moving with their pens, and all that they did was the Electoral Commission pens had ink that would disappear. So I found this interesting.
What? Come again?
That the pen issued by the Electoral Commission. No, there's been a lot of rumors
that ink would disappear.
That after you tick, then you pour the ink. So I was wondering, because I didn't go with my pen. I didn't go with my pen. But then I was seeing everybody come with a pen. There wasn't someone making money out of selling pens just next to the polling station, short distance away from the polling station. So I find this very interesting about Ugandans. Their zeal this time around to vote and ensure that their vote is counted. People had pens. Ugandans had pens. A pen, yokainaka, pen, yokainaka.
So it was the business, yes.
It was the business. Can you imagine pens?
Oh, you go and buy a box of pens and then you can sell it.
News to me. I didn't notice this, Robert.
But that was good in terms of
COVID-19.
So the allegation was that the pens for the Electoral Commission, when you tick, the ink disappears, and the vote will be what?
I don't know. But that is something I found really... I wonder, how would someone ever believe that? Because I thought this would not take people's
That reminds me, was it the Mau Mau rebellion? When they told them, when you smear water from Lake Tanganyika, something like that, that bullets would...
Even Alice Lakwena in Uganda, the late, also she had a movement there, and she told people if they smeared themselves with something, bullets would not go through them. But unfortunately, many had the feel of bullets and they lost their lives.
Getting back to the niche of why we're here, the election hub, we want to look at some statistics that are actually influencing how the results are turning out in certain places. Now, as we get to look at more detailed statistics, I want to look at the overall candidates nominated for all parties. Speaking of parties, did you know that we have 21 parties overall in Uganda? Now, starting with the Alliance for National Transformation, they had nominations of 737 people. Activist Party had 2 people that were nominated. Congress Service Volunteers Organization had 2 people that were nominated. Conservative Party had 10 nominations. Then you have the Democratic People, one of the political parties that we have in Uganda, having 2,244 nominations. Then we also had Ecological Party Uganda with 17 nominations. Forum for Democratic Change had 6,528 nominations. Forum for Integrity in Leadership had 2 nominations. We get to look at independence. Now, the election 2021 has far by large been shaped by a lot of independents to the tune of 31,007 nominations coming through from independents. Interesting.
I was joking with one of my friends. I'm like, this should be a party.
Oh, Independence Party.
They should make a party because in Parliament they have also wide representation. Sometimes they're even over 100 independents. So they should come together and form a party.
But it befits why they're standing as independents.
And Felix, on independence, I think we also need to revise the definition of independence. Because we have some people that come out, more so in the 2020, in this election that we've gone into. We have people that are independents, but in the actual sense, not the real independence. People that lost in political parties and now they came up to register. So these are people that really confused when you talk about.
I think the qualifier, Robert, is simply that you stand away from a party ticket. That's simply the qualifier. Whether you lost in NRM or CP or CHUP or RP or again, as long as you stand away from any political association.
Before the elections of 2006, we were having independence. We were not having political parties, you know. People were standing as individuals as far as presidency is concerned. So we cannot really be using that as a benchmark, because even if the person stands at a party card, for that matter, they're still going to deliver and going to be judged as a person, then as a party member. So it all matters that individuality and voice of reasoning or agenda or manifesto, whatever the person individually wants to achieve in whatever position of leadership they're standing for, does actually manifest should they be given leadership. We get to look at Justice Forum having 146 nominations, Liberal Democracy Transparency having 1 nomination, National Resistance Movement having 43,849 nominations. Then you have the National Unity Platform having 4,955 nominations. People's Development Party has 1 nomination. Revolutionary People's Party has 3 people. And then you have Revolutionaries Women and Youth Party having 4 nominations. You also do have the Social Democratic Party having 8 nominations. Uganda Economic Party having 5 nominations. And then you have Uganda People's Congress, another one of the old judges as far as the politics of Uganda is concerned, having 1,639 nominations. And the last party we look at this morning is Uganda People's Movement having 1 nomination. So many parties, we never see them at the end of the day.
You see, multi-party practices by far, Robert and Priscilla, you must appreciate, in a young democracy like Uganda, do not have much space. One of the biggest challenges, we don't have a common policy on funding parties, and that's a matter of fact. You've seen them struggling time and again. Look at how expensive elections are in Uganda. If you have, for example, and this is just an example, you have 1,051 polling stations. Imagine if you have to have 2 agents. That would make them how many? Probably 2,100 and something. Now, if you're going to, probably you have to facilitate these people. Let's say agents spend the whole day there, you're going to give them an allowance. Let's say 5,000. Now multiply that. For any presidential candidate, no wonder you see some presidential candidates who don't have agents on more than 1,000 polling stations. Now, parties are formed to take political stance in a country like Uganda, but at the end of the day, they can't even get started because of issues of funding. Now, we don't have a common policy on how parties operate. That's why most of the parties that you see that have fairly gotten political platform, have been benchmarked on or have been leaning on individuals. No wonder parties in Uganda started by individuals and always get, because they're the ones who finance them. You'll see a party struggling with Chirabo. Chirabo is in the face of all the business of the party because he is the ultimate funder. Now, the day we have a common policy on funding and sustaining maybe political parties, maybe we shall see good enthusiasm from these parties. But up till now, don't expect much.
Robert, you are a historian in some of this conversation. 2005 referendum. Yes, a referendum was taken, and in that referendum, they decided that they would have political parties or having candidates standing with political parties in the next election, which was 2006. From that referendum, what do you think was the expectation of introducing political parties into the system?
First and foremost, there was a lot of pressure from the development partners. People felt that really, as a sign of democracy, we had to move into multi-party dispensation. So then we opened up space for political parties. But many thought that political parties would be able to kick off very well. But like Felix has said, the issue of funding is one of the things that was very, very important. And that is why you see that out of the 37 registered political parties, even only 27 are able to field candidates at particular levels. So the issue of funding has been a challenge to political parties, also coupled with issues of organization. There have also been a couple of issues when it comes to how political parties have been organized. That is why you see, coming to the 2021 elections, you saw some of the old parties that have been around. We had that migration to another party that had just actually not even made months. So issues of finances, then issues of how organized these political parties are, and how they've been able to build, formidable force still remains a challenge, Priscilla.
Robert, just quickly before Priscilla comes in, there's something that we don't normally have had.
We have a call online.
Okay, sure.
Yes, can we take the caller? We do have Joseph from Arua coming to us. This is the Election Hub. We want to hear from what's happening in Arua. Joseph, are you in line? Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very good. Now, Joseph, I want to find out, first of all, just give us a recap of how yesterday's voting went in the area of Arua.
Yes, right now I am at the county center of Arua City, which is taking place at the Arua Primary, Arua Public Primary School. But since yesterday up to now, we have not yet got any update as far as the who is leading the provisional results.
Okay.
And we are still waiting the EC to fulfill some of the things. But the only thing that we were able to get here was about one of the polling stations that had the irregularities. That is in the Awindiri Primary School polling station. I think it is a mistake that the EC, together with the polling agents of the various candidates, that they have already fixed. But about the issue of Arua district, what I've been talking about is Arua city. Then Arua district, the issues there are already settled. Presidential and parliamentary levels. Of course, the incumbent president of Uganda, Mr. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is the one leading with 23,824 votes, followed by Mr. Chagulanyi Ssentamu, having 7,966 votes. It is a one-county district that has had four candidates, and the candidates are Adiko Yovan on NRM ticket, who has won the race by leading with a total of 21,000 989 votes. He was followed by the former state minister for transport, that is Mr. Ejua Simon, who got 7,710 votes, followed by Pario Peter, who is the independent, who got 3,408 votes. Then Obini Gerard of DP scored 1,217 votes.
All
but
right.
As far as, sorry?
Yes, please continue, Joseph.
Yes, as far as the security is concerned here, things are just as peaceful as it started yesterday morning. And all the voters, even the youth in the town, in the residual Arua district, everything has been very calm. Only that we are now waiting for EC to start declaring the results for Arua City. Of course, Arua City has 3 constituencies: Arua City Central, we have Ivu West Division, we have Ivu East Division. Ivu East Division has 8 candidates. Then the Central has 5 candidates. Then the West has 4 candidates. And according to the preliminary results we are hearing from some of the agents here, of course, in the West, the NRM is also leading. I cannot disclose the numbers now because it will not be official.
That is true.
Also at the Central, NRM is leading. This is Mr. Jackson Atima. Is also leading here in the Central. Then in the West, NRM is also leading in the eastern part of the city. And if we also take the women MP seat, as well as NRM candidate, that is the incumbent woman MP of Arua district, Ms. Maureen Osoro, who has stood together with Abia and 4 others.
So, Joseph, first give me a full list of the women that are standing in that position.
Sorry?
Give me a full list of the women that are standing for that position of woman MP.
The full list of the women contesting for woman MP seat, we have Maureen Osoro, who has stood on the NRM ticket. Then we have Abia Christine, the former member of parliament woman member of parliament for Arua district. Then we have Atan Helen, who is on the FDC ticket. Then we have Princess Sheila Obia. She's on NUP. Then we have one more who is called I am forgetting her name, but in total there are 5 candidates who have been contesting for this race of woman MP for Arua City.
Okay. Can we also look at the line-up for the MPs?
Sorry?
Can we look at the line-up for MP?
The urban MPs, we have, let me start with the Central.
That's right.
At the Central, we have NRM candidate who is Mr. Jackson Atima. Then we have Adad Salim.
Okay.
Adad Salim stood on NUP. Then we have Wadi Cassiano. For Central, he represented the AMP.
Okay. All right, Joseph, thank you so much for the update. We are waiting to hear from you when you get some communication from the Electoral Commission. Okay, all right. So that is the update coming in from Arua. In his opinion, he says, far by and large, the elections in Arua, both city and the district as a whole, were actually fair. They were calm and very, very peaceful. Not so many hiccups that he has registered there. And also, the other thing that has caught my attention is Arua was the first place that Robert Kyagulanyi went to as a presidential candidate. After nominations, that is where he headed to. And the reason why he headed to that place is because a few months back, he had had, you know, some collision in that very same place, Arua.
Oh.
Yes, and that is where he lost one of his drivers back then. So he went back there because he felt that his political journey in presidency had started in this particular area or district for that matter. So to see that so far from what has been shared, we see that he's in the second place there running as far as the results that have so far been confirmed are stating. I
wouldn't want to make an unfair comment against Robert Kyagulanyi or the president's. Priscilla, I'll be honest with you about, but I have a comment I would want to give in regards to that, but let's wait and see how, as Robert said, that some of the still were waiting to hear the final results. But as a matter of fact, we must say sometimes campaigns could be deceptive.
In terms of?
Numbers, and we have seen that consistently. We have seen this with previous elections. We have seen that with Dr. Chiza Besigye and the likes. So I wouldn't want to base on what I saw with the crowds versus what actually happens on the ballot.
All right, we do have another one from Karamoja. Chirabo?
Yes, we have Dennis Sigoa from Karamoja. Good morning, Sigoa. Dennis Sigoa, are you with us? Dennis Sigoa from Karamoja. Good morning, Sigoa. Okay, as we wait for Sigoa, Felix and Priscilla, you're talking about the NUP candidate there. Well, to the NUP, Arua is referred to as their political maker. So that is the area, like you said, where he first went. But like Felix said, sometimes campaigns are deceptive. People turn up for various reasons. Some just want to know how the candidate looks. Others, the message, and also the voting patterns really sometimes determine so much the vote. For the sports people, there is a way they compare notes when it comes to matches and all that, the odds and all this. So, will we see the same thing happen this time round? So far, the results coming in from Arua as we wait for Dennis Sigoa from Karamoja. Well, I'm not telling the same thing there, but remember the Electoral Commission has the mandate that finally declare the winner of the presidential elections. At district level, returning officers have that capacity regarding members of parliament, but it is the election hub, and our mandate is to ensure that we give you 24/7 coverage of the 2021 general elections. We call for peace. Yes, you can't. The families where the husband supports one candidate, the wife supports another candidate. Please, even when...
Battered badly by her husband simply because she had expressed interest in a different presidential candidate from what the man of the house was choosing to go by.
So let me just ask, I don't want to imagine. I was about to say, imagine I'm your... but the last time I said it, you...
Yes, I imagine you're my husband.
We almost left together. But anyway, and I'm thinking just out loud, if you are my wife, I win bread, and I've told you, Mukwano, let's vote this way. This is the future for us and our kids and what. Why wouldn't you listen?
Well, I do have my own opinion, and I have a right to my own opinion. It's my vote, my choice. You're the one who keeps telling us here.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to cut you short. And I go to Sigoa, Dennis, who is in Karamoja. Hello, Sigoa.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. How are you and how is Karamoja?
Karamoja is fine. Yeah, I can see that the sun is rising in the next few minutes. It's going to be a very hot place. Yeah, I've been here for the last 3 days.
Please take us straight to the updates. What is the jetting in information there?
Just like 5 minutes ago, the registrar of Moroto District announced the results of our presidential election. That is the result. The registrar is called Lili Loputros. And straight to the result, the NRM candidate, Yoweri Museveni, has garnered 21,342 votes. That makes it 87%. It's followed by Sentamu Roberts, popularly known as Bobby Wine, the Noop candidate, with 1,417. That is 5.8% of the votes casted in the entire Karamoja region. Then third, we have General Tumukunde, who has garnered 952 votes, making 3.9% of the votes. Then we do have Mayambala Willie with 94 votes, Mugisha Muntu with 67 votes, then Katumba John with 45 votes, then Kalembe Nancy with 60 votes, and Patrick Amuyat and Kabuleta, they tallied 211 votes, making 0.6% of the votes tallied in the entire Karamoja region. Yes. So the registrar also declared we also do have some winners in the MP race, and that is a woman MP or woman MP Moroto district. We do have there were 4 candidates. That's Angela Zainabu, then Apio Lucy, Stella Atiang, and Lorika Adina. Stella Atiang, who is incumbent NRM MP, has been declared winner, and she garnered 18,978 votes. She was followed by Lorika Dina with by Lucy with 3,147 votes, and Lorika Dina with 1,606 votes. And lastly, there was Angela Zainab, who got 473 votes. And we moved to Moroto municipality, the hottest, it was the MP Moroto municipality, a very hotly contested election. If you have to consider in the NRM primaries, Angela lost by only 3 votes. But in the election, it has not been very, there hasn't been a very big difference, because if I can look here, Angela Fred garnered 1,911 votes. That is scooping 49.69%. And Adome Francis, has garnered 1,935 votes, making 50.31% of the tallying 50.3%. And the registrar of Moroto district, that is again I'll mention her name, Lili Loputros, has declared Adome Francis as the new MP of Moroto municipality, beating the incumbent who was running on an independent ticket, that is Angela Fred. Yeah, and we moved to Mateniko County, where we had Samuel Pivin, then Loki John Baptist, who is the incumbent NRM MP, and the Olo Paul. So Loki John Baptist garnered 6,744 votes, garnering 45% of the votes. Then we do have Olo Paul, who came second with 6,602 votes, garnering about 43.67%. And Samuel Piril, who got 1,773 votes, which is equivalent to 11.40%. So the registrar, that is Lili Loput, has declared Loki John Baptist the NRM candidate and incumbent winner for Mateniko County.
Well, thank you so much, Dennis Sigoa. Please, on your way back, don't forget to bring me that stool and that lace to hang around myself as well. Thank you so much for that. In Karamoja, already winners at the parliamentary level have been declared. Very interesting, Priscilla and Felix. But before we went to Karamoja, I had talked about tolerance. I just want to urge you, there is a family that have followed over. That is the Musumba, Salam and Isaac Musumba. The husband is NRM, then the wife has been totally FDC, but they have been tolerant throughout. One contest on this ticket.
Robert, you don't know that. You don't know that. I'll tell you as a matter of fact, and I'm sorry if I may go.
No, there's evidence of that because they're not divorced; they're still married.
You don't know that.
Well, we see what we see.
You don't know that, but I'll tell you. In my opinion, I feel that we leave home as a family.
In your opinion,
I'm like, you know what, sweetheart? I think let's go and vote because you know maybe our livelihood depends on how we vote, and I've seen this in some families. It's strange that women.
Yes, us women, yes.
You the good women
yes,
we love so much. Sometimes you can be stubborn, but we love you nevertheless. But I know for a fact that
but it's called a secret ballot, whereby it is important.
You will never know. Even if I
Robert,
say that I am going to vote for your candidate, I'm going to go there and make my choice.
Robert, do you know what the union means? To become.
No, okay, so you know, this is the election hub, not the marriage hub. Looking at Uganda's Trace 2021, we do have Patrick Oboy Amriat in the race, Fred Mwesije in the race, we do have Joseph Kabuleto in the race. We get to look at the only woman standing in 2021, Nancy Kalembe. Then we have Willie Mayambala, and the lineup down.
Of course, we have Tibu Habura Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and General Henry Tumukunde Kakurugu.
Yeah.
Mao Nobot, and of course Sentamu Robert Chagulanyi, Gregory Muntu, and Katumba John were no longer candidates. They were presidential candidates in the 2021 general election race. And clearly it's what we're doing here, giving you all the updates as they unfold to tell you who is leading where and the expectation of who your new president, member of parliament will be. We don't give you official results, but we give you partial that are not accredited, and later on we shall have the Electoral Commission come in to give us more of that. So far, partially from Kazo, we do have the incumbent president leading, as well as from the area of Arua, that is city and district at the same time. This is Good Morning Uganda. The election hub is here to continue giving you coverage from the different regions of Uganda, the east, the west, the south, the north, and of course the central part of Uganda. We're going to be giving you updates from all these regions and partial results as they come in and when. Thank you so much and have yourselves a wonderful morning.
Enjoy great value from Airtel with the all-new My Pakalast combo offers. We have customized especially for you the best deals on minutes, data and SMS with our 3-in-1 My Pakalast combo to give you the best value as you stay in touch with friends and family. To activate My Pakalast voice combo,